The sun hung high, its rays casting dappled shadows on the forest path where Buddha walked with his disciple. Silence enveloped them, broken only by the rustle of leaves and the occasional song of a distant bird. The disciple carried questions in his heart, unsure how to articulate them to his revered teacher. Master, how does one achieve peace in the ceaseless flow of the world? He finally asked, his voice hesitant. Buddha paused, looking at the disciple with calm eyes, his expression a mirror of tranquility. Come, Buddha said, pointing to a clearing ahead where a river meandered, its waters gentle but unyielding. They sat by the river, and Buddha gestured for the disciple to observe the flowing water. What do you see? Buddha asked, his voice as soft as the breeze. The disciple studied the river, his brow furrowing as he sought an answer worthy of the question. I see water moving around obstacles, never ceasing, always flowing, he replied, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Buddha nodded, a faint smile gracing his lips as he touched the ground beside him. The river does nothing, yet achieves everything it needs. It flows not with haste, nor does it resist. The disciple pondered this, the simplicity of the words contrasting with the depth of their meaning. Buddha continued, his tone steady, his gaze fixed on the flowing stream. A mind at peace is like this river, flowing naturally, unburdened by the need to control everything. The disciple leaned forward, his attention fully on Buddha's words, eager to grasp their essence. But Master, he said, his voice edged with doubt, how can one let go when the world constantly demands action? Buddha picked up a handful of pebbles, holding them out to the disciple, his eyes reflecting wisdom. Take these and throw them into the river, he instructed, his tone inviting no argument. The disciple did as asked, watching as the pebbles created ripples before sinking to the riverbed. What do you notice? Buddha inquired, his voice calm as the rippling water. The disciple observed the river, its surface soon returning to undisturbed tranquility. The river accepts the pebbles but does not cling to them, the disciple said, realization dawning in his voice. Buddha nodded, a quiet satisfaction in his demeanor, his voice weaving wisdom like silk threads. Life is like this river. Obstacles will come, distractions will disturb, but peace lies in not holding on to them. The disciple felt the words resonate within him, like a chord struck deep in his soul, unearthing profound clarity. Buddha extended his hand, holding a leaf that had drifted onto the ground, its veins intricate and delicate. This leaf does nothing to resist the wind or water, yet it moves with them. Is it not alive? Buddha asked, his tone inviting reflection rather than demanding an answer. The disciple studied the leaf, marveling at its simplicity, its effortless acceptance of nature's flow. Master, is it not the nature of life to strive, to act, to create change? He questioned, his brow furrowed. Buddha smiled, the expression warm like sunlight filtering through the forest canopy, his voice a gentle guide. To act wisely, one must first understand when to act and when to be still, he said. Placing the leaf on the water, the leaf floated, carried by the current, its journey unhindered by resistance or desire. A silent teacher in motion. The disciple watched the leaf drift, its unburdened existence revealing truths he had never considered before. Buddha turned his gaze to the disciple, his voice steady, each word carrying weight like stones building a foundation. To do nothing is not to abandon effort, but to allow life to unfold without forcing its course. The disciple felt as though a veil had been lifted from his eyes, his perspective shifting, his heart lightening. Buddha's hand rested lightly on the disciple's shoulder, his touch grounding yet comforting, his presence an anchor. In stillness lies the essence of life's rhythm. In peace the strength to endure. In surrender, the wisdom to see clearly. They sat in silence, the disciple absorbing the lesson, the river a symphony of calm, its presence a silent affirmation. Time passed unnoticed, the sun sinking lower, its light softening into hues of gold and amber. The disciple broke the silence, his voice steady but thoughtful, his words more deliberate, as though weighed and measured. Master, does this mean we abandon all goals, all desires, all pursuits to find peace? Buddha shook his head, the motion slow, his eyes reflecting infinite patience, his voice a steady guide. Goals and desires are not chains unless you allow them to bind you. Pursue them with clarity, not attachment. The disciple nodded, his understanding deepening like roots finding fertile soil, his spirit more grounded yet uplifted. Buddha rose, his movement fluid, as though in harmony with the world around him, his voice a quiet proclamation. The art of doing nothing productively is to understand the harmony between effort and surrender, action and stillness. The disciple rose as well, his gaze lingering on the river, its lessons etched into his consciousness like carvings in stone. Together, they walked back to the monastery, their steps unhurried, their journey a reflection of the wisdom shared. As they walked, the disciple felt a newfound serenity within, a quiet revolution transforming his approach to life. Buddha remained silent, his presence a testament to the power of stillness, his being an embodiment of peace. The path stretched ahead, winding through the forest, its quietude a mirror of the calm within the disciple's heart. The lesson of the silent river stayed with him, its simplicity profound, its truth unwavering, its wisdom a guiding light. Another day, another lesson unfolded as Buddha sat in the shade of a tamarind tree, surrounded by his disciples. The village was bustling, its narrow streets alive with the clamor of merchants, children, and animals. Among the disciples sat young Sujata, her brow furrowed with worry, a clay bowl clutched tightly in her hands. Master, Sujata began, her voice trembling, how can I find peace when my heart feels as burdened as this heavy bowl? Buddha turned to her, his gaze calm, his presence a wellspring of quiet reassurance. Sujata, Buddha said, his voice steady, place the bowl here before me and let us look at it together. Sujata placed the bowl on the ground. Its surface cracked, its contents a medley of grains, pebbles, and soil. The bowl is full, Buddha observed, his voice resonating with measured clarity. But full of what? Sujata hesitated, her eyes scanning the contents, uncertain of what she should say. It is full of many things. Master, Sujata replied, her voice tinged with confusion. And yet, it feels heavy, Buddha added, gently lifting the bowl as if to emphasize its weight. The other disciples leaned closer, curiosity stirring within them, their attention fixed on the unfolding exchange. Sujata, Buddha continued, his tone as soft as the rustling leaves above them. What if we emptied the bowl? Sujata's eyes widened, her hands fidgeting in her lap, her voice hesitant. If we empty it, Master, will it not lose its purpose? Buddha smiled, the expression warm like sunlight breaking through a cloudy sky, his voice carrying wisdom in its simplicity. A bowl is only useful when it is empty. An empty bowl can receive, while a full bowl can only refuse. Sujata stared at the bowl, her fingers brushing the earth, her thoughts swirling like leaves caught in a sudden breeze. Master, what does it mean to empty my heart? Does it mean giving up everything I hold dear? Buddha took the bowl and began to slowly remove its contents, his movements deliberate, his silence echoing his teaching. To empty your heart is not to discard love or purpose. It is to let go of clinging and fear. The grains spilled to the ground. The pebbles clattered softly, the soil scattered like whispers carried by the wind. When the bowl is full of unnecessary things, it cannot hold what truly nourishes. Is this not true, Sujata? Sujata nodded, her eyes fixed on the now empty bowl. her heart beginning to grasp the weight of the words. "Master, how do I discern what to keep and what to let go?" she asked, her voice steady yet searching. Buddha poured clear water into the empty bowl, its surface shimmering under the dappled sunlight filtering through the tamarind tree. "Fill your bowl with clarity, with stillness, with wisdom. These nourish the soul as water nourishes the body." The disciples watched, their faces reflecting their inner reflections, the lesson unfolding before them like petals of a blooming lotus. "But Master," Sujata asked, her voice thoughtful, "what if the world keeps adding to my bowl without my consent?" Buddha tilted the bowl, allowing a single drop of water to escape, its sound a soft note against the ambient noise. "The world will always try to fill your bowl, but you alone can decide what it holds and what overflows." The disciples nodded, the truth resonating in their hearts, each finding meaning in the simple yet profound demonstration. An empty bowl does not signify lack. It signifies readiness. Readiness to receive what is necessary, and to release what is not. Sujata bowed her head, her hands clasped together, gratitude radiating from her being, her spirit lightened by the newfound understanding. Buddha placed the empty bowl gently in her hands, his eyes meeting hers with a look of deep compassion. "Carry this bowl, Sujata, not as a burden but as a reminder. Let it teach you the balance of fullness and emptiness." The air around them seemed to hold its breath, the moment etched into the hearts of all present, a lesson woven into their lives. As the disciples rose to leave, Sujata lingered, her gaze resting on the bowl, her thoughts a mix of reflection and revelation. "Master," she said, her voice breaking the quiet, "will I ever truly learn to empty my heart?" Buddha's voice was calm, steady as the rhythm of the earth beneath them, a grounding force in its simplicity. "Learning is not a moment but a journey. Each step you take is itself an emptying, and each breath a filling." Sujata held the bowl close, her heart no longer heavy but alive with the lightness of understanding, her spirit uplifted. "Thank you, Master," she whispered, her gratitude flowing from her like the clear water now filling her empty bowl. The group began their walk back to the village, their steps unhurried, their minds calmed, their hearts attuned to the teaching. Along the way, Sujata noticed the small things she had overlooked before. The laughter of children, the song of birds. Buddha walked silently, his presence a constant reminder of the lesson, his being a quiet anchor for the hearts of his disciples. The lesson of the empty bowl stayed with Sujata, its simplicity profound, its truth a guide, its wisdom an enduring light. Another day, another gathering took place under the fading light of twilight, where Buddha stood among his contemplative disciples. Shadows stretched across the clearing, their shapes dancing in the gentle flicker of lantern flames. Among the disciples sat Dheeraj, his eyes heavy with the weariness of ambition and unfulfilled yearning. "Master," Dheeraj began, his voice low and weighted, "how do I master my life when my desires endlessly control me?" Buddha turned toward him, his expression serene, his presence a balm for unsettled minds. "Dheeraj," Buddha said, his voice calm as the evening breeze, "step forward and observe the shadows before us." Dheeraj hesitated but rose, his movements slow, his heart uncertain, his gaze fixed on the shifting shapes around them. "What do you see, Dheeraj?" Buddha asked, his voice unwavering, his tone both gentle and firm. Dheeraj studied the shadows, their shapes distorted and fleeting, moving with the lantern's soft glow. "I see darkness and movement." "Master," Dheeraj replied, his voice hesitant yet searching, his mind grappling with an elusive understanding. Buddha nodded, his presence steady, his voice a guide into the unseen truths of existence. "Shadows are born of light yet have no substance. They distract but hold no power beyond what you grant them." The disciples listened intently, their own reflections mirroring Dhiraj's uncertainty as they considered the impermanence of the shadows. Master, Dhiraj asked, his brow furrowed, how do I cease being governed by what feels so real, so controlling, so consuming? Buddha extended his hand, catching the faint beam of light escaping the lantern's glass casing. Reach for the shadow and grasp it, Buddha instructed, his gaze steady, his words commanding yet patient. Dhiraj reached toward the ground, his hand moving through the shifting darkness, his fingers touching nothing but air. I cannot grasp it, Master, Dhiraj said, his voice tinged with frustration, his heart troubled by his failure. Buddha smiled faintly, his expression calm yet knowing, his words carrying the weight of ageless wisdom. You cannot grasp a shadow because it is an illusion. It exists only as a reflection, not as truth. Dhiraj withdrew his hand, his brow furrowed, his thoughts swirling as he struggled to comprehend Buddha's teaching. Master, if shadows are illusions, why do they feel so real, so unavoidable, so commanding over my life? Dhiraj asked, his voice faltering. Buddha turned his gaze toward the lantern, observing its flickering light, its fragile flame. Shadows exist because light exists. They are neither real nor lasting but are born of the interaction between presence and perception. Dhiraj stood in silence, the lantern's glow illuminating his uncertainty, its flicker a reminder of the impermanence of the shadows. Master, Dhiraj said, his voice steadying, how do I free myself from the illusions that seem to rule my every choice? Buddha gestured toward the lantern, his movements fluid, his demeanor untouched by haste. Focus not on the shadows but on the light that creates them. For it is in the light that truth resides. Dhiraj stared at the lantern, its fragile flame a beacon of insight, its glow both constant and ephemeral. Master, what is the nature of this light that dispels illusions and reveals truth? Dhiraj questioned, his heart eager yet uncertain. Buddha's gaze remained fixed on the lantern, his voice weaving clarity from complexity, his presence unshaken by worldly distractions. The light is awareness, the flame of clarity that resides within. It shines when you see life as it truly is. Dhiraj's mind wrestled with these words, their simplicity profound, their meaning layered yet straightforward. Master, Dhiraj asked, his voice soft, will I ever see life clearly enough to find this flame within myself? Buddha took the lantern in his hands, holding it steady, its flame casting faint but vivid shadows around them. To see the light, you must surrender the desire to control the shadows. For clarity comes in acceptance, not domination. Dhiraj's heart felt lighter, as though the chains of ambition had loosened, their grip less rigid, their weight less burdensome. Master, how do I accept what feels impossible to endure? What feels beyond my capacity to surrender? Buddha placed the lantern gently on the ground, his movements deliberate, his demeanor unshaken. Surrender is not weakness but wisdom. It is to recognize the dance of the shadows without being bound by their illusions. The disciples watched, their own hearts stirring, their reflections deepening, their spirits attuned to the subtle yet profound teaching. To do nothing is to let life unfold without clinging to what cannot be held, Buddha said. Dhiraj sat beside the lantern, his gaze fixed on its flame, his thoughts quieting, his spirit unburdening itself slowly. Master, does this mean I abandon all striving, all effort, all desire for progress? Dhiraj asked, his voice steady. Buddha's voice responded like waves against the shore, gentle yet firm, constant yet adaptive. Effort is not futile, but it must be wise. Progress is not illusion, but it must be measured by truth. Dhiraj's heart felt a shift, as though the path ahead was less uncertain, its terrain less treacherous. Master, I see the light of the flame, but I still feel trapped by the shadows it casts. Buddha extended his hand toward the shadows. His movements fluid, his presence both grounding and freeing. To see the shadows as illusions is to free yourself. To resist them is to remain bound. The twilight deepened, the shadows lengthened, the lantern's glow softened, the clearing holding its breath in quiet contemplation. Master, Dheeraj said, his voice breaking the silence. Will I ever learn to dance with the shadows without fearing their influence? Buddha stood, his presence commanding yet gentle, his voice carrying clarity like the lantern's light carried warmth. Dancing with shadows is not avoidance, but wisdom. It is to know their nature without becoming consumed. Dheeraj's heart felt lighter, as though the weight of illusion had begun to lift, its grip no longer suffocating. Thank you, Master, Dheeraj whispered, his gratitude genuine, his spirit alive with the light of understanding. The disciples rose, their steps deliberate, their minds calmed, their hearts carrying the wisdom shared. The path ahead stretched through the forest, its quietude mirroring the stillness within their hearts, its shadows less daunting. As they walked, Dheeraj noticed the small things he had overlooked. The softness of the earth, the sweetness of the air. Buddha's presence remained a constant, his silence a testament to the power of stillness and surrender. The lesson of the dance of shadows stayed with Dheeraj, its simplicity profound, its truth enduring, its wisdom an eternal guide. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.